And it looks like we're live. Okay. I'm gonna start real soon. The first time you're streaming, you don't really know. Uh, you can't really figure out how to do things. It's quite difficult for me now, but I'm sure with time I'll get used to it. Uh, so I think I'm gonna start now. So what I'm thinking of building today is a recipe recommendation system. Okay, so a user will type in a list of ingredients, and from that prompt, uh, the application will be able to recommend a recipe. All right, so that's what we're going to be building today. Uh, so the tech stack. So I'm going to start with uh, listing the tech stack that I'm going to use. So the first thing is Next.js. Uh, if you want to do web development in the real world, then yeah, Next.js is the hottest thing right now. If your company uses React, then you can bet your money that you'll need to learn Next.js. So it's a good thing to have. It's a good thing to learn and store it in your arsenal. So Next.js, and we're also going to be using, so this video particularly I meant to do this stream so that I could use the OpenAI API. So I'm going to be using that for text generation. You can look at the pricing. There are different like generation models. I'm going to be using the GPT 3.5 Turbo because it's very economically priced. If you look at the GPT-4 model, which you won't be able to use anyway because you need a paid account for this, but still, if you look at the price for 1,000 tokens, it costs so $0.03. Okay, so that will scale very quickly, and you'll run out of credit pretty soon. So for now, GPT 3.5 Turbo will do the job for us, and it's very cheap compared to this, and you can also use it in the free trial that comes in with a new account. So you get $5 worth of free credits. So yeah, and that'll be enough for us to test it out. And the rest of the tech stack, I don't think I'm gonna be using anything else. Okay, so I'm just gonna test if the muting works or not. I'm gonna speak now. Okay, or I could just, okay, so I'm gonna mute myself now. Okay, so yeah, the muting works. I just wanted to make sure that I could mute myself whenever necessary. So now, without any further delays, I'm not gonna waste any time here. I'm gonna jump in straight to my code editor. I have my terminals ready. I have all the prerequisites already done in my yesterday's stream, like downloading Node.js and all that. So let's go and let's create a new Next.js app. Okay, getting started. This is a good place to start your project. Okay, where is the command for installing? Okay, installation. Okay, so there we go. With npm you just need this piece of code right here. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into desktop. My desktop, and I'm going to install it here. So okay, so there we go. What is your project called? Okay, let's name it recipe. I'm not going to be using TypeScript. Yes. Tailwind, no. Source directory, no. App router, no. I'm good with the old file router. No. Import alias. Okay, so this is gonna take a while. And while this is happening, let's add our folder. Okay, so this is the recipe folder, right? So there we go. This is the file structure. The dependencies are getting installed. Okay, in this terminal as well, I'm gonna traverse into my directory and desktop, and then the name is recipe. Okay, that's all we need. Okay, so the installation is complete, which is pretty quick to my surprisingly quick. Okay, so the first thing that I like to do is run the development server. So in this tab, I'm going to be running the development server. So the service is started. Let me go check. Right now, I suppose it's compiling. Okay, so there we go. Right. So this is the template that we get. So with any Next.js project, what I first like to do is just remove everything, all the boilerplate that comes with a newly installed app. So I'm just gonna select them all and delete them. I'm gonna keep the head for now. Okay, let's say that the title is gonna be recipe recommendation. Description, okay, let's add in the description as well. Put in ingredients as prompt to get recipe recommendation. It's gonna be tasty. Okay, let's save it for now. Okay, let's remove the things that are unused, like the fonts and images. Okay, let's just save it. Parsing error, cannot find next babel. I don't know why VS Code is showing that error, but I don't think it's gonna pose a problem. So there we go. Right now we have nothing here. So the first thing that I want to do is build a UI. So the UI for this application, what I'm thinking of, it's gonna be minimal, but it's gonna be working nonetheless. So I'm thinking of keeping maybe a box with a search bar, like the one that Google has, like this one. If you type in Google and then go into Google, so you get this, right? So I'm thinking of making a search bar similar to this one. So so what I also want to do is install Material UI. Okay, because it takes a while, so I want to do this straight ahead. cd recipe, and then command v, and then save it as dependency. So while that's going on, let's go and import paper, not just paper, styled from @movie / system. Oh my god, this is like extra fast. Okay, so this was very fast. Also, what I want to do is another package which doesn't get installed with Material UI but is a part of Material UI's movie icons. Let's install them as well. Icons material, and then let's save them as well. Style from movie system, and then let's import paper from movie material, and let's do const. Let's just name the component container, and let's call it styled. We're gonna style the paper, and then we can pass in our custom styles object inside. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is just width and height. Width is, let's give it 70 pw, and then height, let's give it 60 70 vh. Save, and then let's render it. Let's see what happens. Recipe recommendation. Okay, so there we go. So this right here is our container. So some default styles are being applied. So if you look at app.js, then there's a global CSS whose styles are being applied. So I'm just gonna remove all of them because I don't need you. HTML body, and let's do everything selector as well. So adding 0, and then let's do the box sizing, border box. Why is it giving me an error? There shouldn't be an error, but I think there will be. Okay, so it has compiled successfully, so there wasn't any error. Okay, let's get back to our index.js. We had our container, right? So in container we can give it an elevation of, let's say, 19. Left and right, sorry, not left and top is 50%, and then oh no. Okay, sorry, that was just an airplane passing by. Okay, 70 and height, let's make it 85, and then 85 as well. Okay, this looks good enough. So our container is done. Now inside the container, there will be a big search button, okay, in which you can put in your ingredients as prompt. So that's what I'm gonna do. Since this app will have a small structure, so we're not gonna need to separate our files into modules, right? So which is usually what you want to do in real life. In real life, you'll have complex projects and you want to maintain modularity as much as possible. But since this application is small, it will be an overkill to just separate into different modules. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a component that I need right here, but which I would usually do in a separate module. So let's name it input, or okay, let's just name it input, and it's gonna return a React fragment. So there's nothing in it right now, so it's just gonna return an input element. So input, some placeholder, put in names, put in ingredients separated by comma to gate tasty recipes. Okay, so that will be the placeholder. It's gonna have a name. It doesn't need a name, but I'm just gonna name it name. So prompt. So there we go. So that is our input, right? So inside container, I'm gonna render. I'm gonna render that input element. Okay, and let's see. Okay, so there we go. So this is our input element right now. So we gotta style it to make it look good. Okay, class name. I'm just gonna give it search. Okay, so that's what its class is gonna be. And into my global CSS, I'm gonna select search class, and then let's put in some some styles. So I want to center it right here. Okay, so width, let's give it uh, 10 pixel would be enough. Let's give it a border radius as well, 4 pixel. Let's see how it looks so far. Okay, so far so good. So I think I'm gonna enclose it inside a div, because I also need a search button. So I'm gonna make a search button right here. So so a better way of doing this would be to enclose both those inside a div. So instead of just rendering the input element right here, or I could just, yeah, so instead of doing this, I could do a div, enclose it inside a div. Sorry, what am I doing? What? Like, what is happening? Okay, div. Okay, so there we go. There's the input, and we're gonna add another. We're gonna add a button in this div later. So div, we have a div. Let's give it a class. It's gonna be search container. save it, and right now it looks like this. Let's open my developer tools. Sorry, I don't know what just happened. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it is getting vertically docked. I don't know why. Okay, you can change it. Don't show again. Opt out. Let's go to elements. And there we go. Let's search for our div. This is our paper, so the container. So inside the container, okay, so this is the div, right? So div, being a block element by default, takes in 100% of the width right now. So we're gonna need to center it, right? You can because this one is also absolute, you can just absolute it. So let me test it right here. Close the console, expand it a bit. Then element style, what I'm going to do is I'm going to position it absolute, and then there we go. And width it's going to take okay, so restore back, and then you can use the same thing as you did. So left by 50%, and then you can, sorry, not transition, transform, and then use translate. Then let's edit it out by 50% of its height. Oh, it's not working. Transform, what's happening? Why? Transform changes to this property will trigger paint, which can impact performance when used inside keyframes. Okay, what is happening there? What just happened there? Oh, so this is 100% width. I'm thinking of, okay, so okay, and then you can just text line, then center, and there we go. This is gonna center everything. So I'm just gonna copy the CSS and then paste it in my CSS file. Remember we had the container class search container. Let's paste it here. Okay, so that should do it. So I'm just gonna refresh just in case. Okay, so there we go. Now I can I can go working on my input. So this so far it looks good. Let me make it a little more bigger. Right now it's getting a default font size. So how about that? Okay, it's gonna be this. So I'm gonna need to increase the pad there's I guess, yeah, method is the uh, so as you can see from documentation, I think we need method. We just need the method, no form. So method is gonna be post. I don't think you need to capitalize it. Okay, so you don't need. And then you can have anything inside, like input and other things. And then you'll have an input type of submit. Okay, so I think it should work. Like on press, like if it is pressed on, I don't know, how do you subscribe to this button? I'm gonna have to look it up here. Let's just go to the button. Text button, contain button. Okay, handling clicks. Okay, so on click. Oh my god, how could I forget? Okay, so on click, what was the form? An input and input type was submit, so that was a submit button. So I think what you can do is this form right here, you can just post it, right? So on click, okay, what you could also do is just define a function, submit. Let's name it submit, then const submit. It's gonna be a function, right? And it's gonna have to read a value of this one. So what you can do is use ref, and then you can create a ref here. So first things first, you need to create a reference. So const input ref, call the use ref hook, and then there we go, input ref, right? So, and let's give it a reference to this element, input ref. Okay, so there we go, input ref. And then what you can do is, I'm just gonna log it into my console right for now. What you can do is input ref dot current dot, I think, current dot value. I don't think it's like this, but I'm gonna try it anyway. And there we go. And hey, so this is gonna give me an error, I think. Why isn't it responding though? Okay, on click, there's this submit, right? Let's also give it alert. Hey, maybe it's getting jammed. Okay, so on click. Okay, camel case convention. Oh my god, how could I forget this? Why am I forgetting little things? Okay, so if you click on, okay, so at least the button is responding. and yeah, it's also logging out. So that was, yeah. Okay, so we are reading the input value. Now we can do anything with it, right? So I think that's this part done. So our input interface is almost done here. So I think I'm gonna move to backend part now. And let's see how long I've been streaming for. Okay, 38 minutes. Okay, so there we go. Our input interface is done, right? So I'm now what I'm gonna do is create an API. So in my API folder, you have something called hello.js. It's just a placeholder, so I'm just gonna remove them. And what I'm gonna do now is so for the API part, as I introduced, as I was saying in the introduction, how this stream was, I'm gonna be using the OpenAI API for generating recipes, right? So that's the whole purpose of this video. So let's head over to OpenAI, and I have this bunch of tabs open. So first thing you want to do is install the OpenAI, the official OpenAI Node.js library, npm install OpenAI. So that's what you want to do first. So let's do that. npm install OpenAI. Okay, and this is the official, you can call it an SDK for using it with Node.js. Okay, so right after that is done, you need to go log into your OpenAI account, and if you have a new OpenAI account, then you'll get $5 worth of usage credits for free, which you can use it for the first 3 months to try out the OpenAI API. So that's cool. So I just created a new account. So if I go and look into my I don't know where, okay, maybe manage account. Okay, if I go and look into my users tab, then oh my god, which account is this? What? $0? Okay, so there we go. So I have $5. So I've used $0.01 of my free uses. So you need to set up an account for that, and after that you also need to create an API key to be using for your project. So I've already done one, and I've saved it in my system. So those are the prerequisites, and you can refer to the documentation for using different kinds of models for fine-tuning and all that advanced stuff. I'll be doing a video, a stream like this one, on fine-tuning a model to create a chatbot on a later video, but for now I'm just going to be using a simple completion model. I'm not going to be fine-tuning anything on it. So the model that I'm going to be using is let's see, the chat completion. The chat completion AI. Okay, so there we go, chat, right? So chat completion. Okay, so this is the API that I'm going to be using. So the good thing about OpenAI is that they also have code snippets that you can use right here. So the model that I'm going to be using is GPT 3.5 Turbo. Okay, you can look into other things and make sure you look at the pricing of these models to ensure that you don't run out of credits fast. So I'm gonna stick to my GPT 3.5 Turbo for now. Okay, so this is a call request. I'm using Node.js, so there we go, Node.js. So I'm just gonna copy this, and then yeah, now let's go and build my API. So in my API there's hello.js. The first things first, let's rename it into something meaningful. So this is gonna make an endpoint, so into something meaningful, right? Let's do create recipe. Okay, and I'm just gonna paste it right here for now. Configuration, so there we go. So this is the part where you need your key. So I have my key stored in my system, so what I'm gonna need to do is bring in to my project. So while using API keys, while using secret variables, what you need to do is create an environment variable, right? So that's the first thing you need to learn. You learn when you work on backend. So let's go an environment variable. So Next.js is a built-in support for environment variables. So what you can do is create a file named .env.local, and that will be, those variables will be available on process.env object. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. New file .env.local. Okay, and this will be my API key. Yeah, API key, and then I'm gonna go ahead and paste my API key. I think I stored it in desktop. Okay, key.text. So there we go. This is my API key. You can go ahead and use this key if you want, but I doubt that you will. So there we go. Our API key is stored in the env local file, which will be available in our process env object, and I've just named it API key. And let's check it once again. Where is my .env.local API key? Okay, there we go. And chat completion, GPT model. The model being used is GPT 3.5 Turbo, and these are the messages. You know what? Before building this whole thing, okay, what I want to do is I want to test out if this works. Okay, so I'm gonna delete this for now. I'm just gonna create an async function. Right, a self-calling function. Okay, these are the configuration. I don't need those. OpenAI. Okay, configuration. Okay, so this is the thing that we need to run, right? So let's do, since this is an await, since this right here is an await call, make a sync function, and then just enclose them inside this, and enclose this function inside parentheses, and then call it. Okay, so there we go. It's now saved, and let's run this file, solely this file. Now let's go ahead and open a new window. CD, we need to go to desktop, and then we have recipe, and then we need to go to pages. Yeah, pages and API, I guess. Yeah, API, and we have this create recipe, right? So I'm just gonna run this node create recipe.js. Okay, so that is gonna run that function, and the prompt was you are a helpful assistant. Okay, so the prompt was you are a helpful assistant. Oh my god, incorrect API key. Okay, so this, okay, we got an error. So incorrect API key, how? Okay, let's see if this API key is really being rendered here or not. So in this function, Right, it doesn't work, okay. I got way ahead of myself, because we are depending on Next.js to to replace this thing with our actual API key, right? So you need Next.js to be actually running, if you want this to work. So yeah, so sorry, I got ahead of myself. So I thought, yeah, I could test this in a standalone situation. What you could do, though, if you really want to test it, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Let's go to my env local. Let's copy this, and then let's replace the process env. Okay, instead of retrieving from this, I'm just gonna put in the API key directly. Okay, so I think this should work, and I'm also gonna edit the message. Like, for example, the content is you are helpful assistant, right? So instead of that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write something like who is Obama. Sorry, something's wrong with my typing today. Okay, who is Obama? And let's run this code once again. Okay, it's gonna take some time depending on the number of tokens that OpenAI needs to generate. Okay, so there we go, we got a response. So Obama refers to Barack Obama, who served as the 44th president of the United States from 2009 to 2017. He's a member of the Democratic Party and was the first African American president in the US history. Okay, so there we go. So our API, our endpoint is working. So let's revert it back to how it was. Okay, so there we go. Let's revert it back. Okay, so here, so we have the request and response object. So we're going to be sending a request to this endpoint from that search button, right? Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. So let's do this. Console this one, and then you need to fetch from this endpoint, right? So result from this endpoint. So what I'm gonna do is, let's do this. So use fetch, then in submit, what you need to do is fetch, and then the endpoint is going to be create recipe, which we are creating side by side. Create recipe. So this is going to be the endpoint, right? So it's not going to be a simple get request, though. It's going to be a post request. So I need to look into the fetch documentation. Okay, using the fetch API. Okay. So fetch, this is a simple get request. Okay, so there we go, fetch URL, and then you need to provide in a separate object with methods like method. I think it is capitalized. Okay, post, and then we have mode, no course, we don't need that. No cache, don't need that. Credentials, no. Header type, no. Okay, we need body, and then in body we're just gonna put in the value. So let's do this, const query equals input ref dot current dot value, and in body we're just putting in the query. So it's just gonna fetch this one right here. So this function right here, it needs to be an async function, because we're gonna be calling await fetch and then it's, or you could just use .then, right, just like in the documentation. Okay, so response. Okay, let's do it the same way. Const result, let's name it result, equals await fetch, and then after the completion of fetch, okay, await fetch, and then you just need to put in, okay, response.json, right? So you also need to call response.json. I don't think it needs to be an async function. Okay, it needs to be an async function because I'm calling it right here. Okay, but it's not necessary that it needs to return a promise. So what you can do is, yeah, so await fetch, and then dot, if it is in JSON, I think the response will be in JSON, so convert it to JSON, and yeah, it's gonna take care of it. And let's do console.log results. Hopefully I was muted. Okay. Okay. It's like my recipe recommendation. Okay, so there we go. And if you go into the network tab here, developer tools, let's see if the network request is going on. Let's do onion, and yeah, we have a network request, and then it's just refreshes it. Onion, there we go. Okay, fetch dot json. It's not a function. Why is it not a function though? Okay, I think I'm making a mistake. Yeah, so await fetch. You can try await fetch, right? Then using the fetch API. Okay, await, and then you can do response.json. And let's look into this, and let's look into other methods like the response object. Yeah, you can do response.json, returns a new response object for returning the provided JSON encoded data. Redirect, you can also use response.error, the response.text. Okay, maybe, yeah, and that's because the response was empty. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's the reason why it's not working right now, because I'm not sending any response at all. So let's first send in some response, and then let's try it. Okay, so this is create recipe. Let's export. Okay, so we have our function right here ready to go. I'm just gonna save it, and let's see if there's an error. There's none. Let's skip the onion. Fetch text is not a function. Okay, let's just do this. Okay, I don't think you can chain them like you would do in promises. So it's gonna be response, software response, and then const results is gonna be res.json, and you're gonna have to await that one as well. Yeah, I think this should work. Okay, so this is the request that is being sent, but it's 404 not found. I don't know what's happening there. It should be there because it is there. Create recipe. Oh, I think you also have to mention /API. Yeah, I think that's the reason why. Okay, so create recipe. Okay, so it's working now. And let's in our console, and we get our object named John Doe. Okay, so the connection is there. Now what I want to do is I'm gonna try to run this, right? So first things first, let's examine what our request body is. Let's do this. Then we have onion, right? So onion. Okay, so the request body contains the prompt, right? So now what I want to do is separate that sentences. Separate those sentences by using a delimiter, which is going to be a comma, right? So the users is going to be sending the ingredients like this, so it's going to have a comma in between. So if you do that, so onion and tomato, so you're just getting exactly what's being written, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split them. So the first thing is query, and then let's bring in request.body, right? And then let's separate them into words, or maybe I don't need to. Yeah, I don't think I need to. Yeah. So this was the response. So now you need to create your configuration and everything. Okay, so these are the configuration, so I'm gonna move them to the top. Okay, this was my configuration, and this is my OpenAI application through which we'll be able to make request. So this is what we want to run whenever request comes, right? So there we go, the query is on here. So create chat completion. I'm using an await, so this needs to be an async function. Okay, request body, and then chat completion await, GPT-5 turbo messages. I'm only going to be sending one message. So role system, if you don't know about what roles are, then you'll be just good to go with system. So the content is gonna be recipe including. Okay, so I'm gonna use this thing right here. So template literals. Oh no, that's not the way to use it, is it? You need to give a backtick. Okay, so recipe including, and then including query. Okay, so let's see what response we get when we give it this message right here. So I'm logging it on the console, so we're going to be able to see what will be printed. So onion and tomato. So there we go. And in our console, So I think it's working it out. Mm, let's look at the network. Let's say create recipe, and then did we get a response? Yeah, we got a response. Okay, so I don't think it's waiting. Okay, so there we go. So it's working right now, right? So onion and tomato, so content, one pot tomato and onion pasta. Okay, so that's exactly what we want. Am I muted right now? Okay, thank God I'm not. Okay, so onion and tomato. Sorry if I sound really out of energy right now, because I really am. Okay, so we have completed, so now this is working. So now we just want to send this completion data choices 0.message message to our front end side, right? So it's gonna have this, so role and then content. So we just need content, by the way. Okay, so JSON is gonna be data, and then it's gonna be this thing right here, completion data the choices dot message, and inside message you're gonna have role and content. So we don't want to do anything to, we don't have anything to do with roles, so I'm just gonna send in the content. So yeah, this should work. Recipe including query, and you can also limit the number of tokens that you want to use. Like for example, if you want to save on tokens, you could do something like recipe including query, and then you can give an extra information like use give in only 100 words. Okay, so that'll make sure that only about 100 tokens are used. So command save, and then let's test it out. So the response, where's the response? Okay, so this is the response, and it's been logged into the console, right? So onion tomato, let's do this once again, and we are yet to get response. So working. Let's have in just 100 words, right? So enjoy this simple and flavorful onion and tomato dish in just 100 words. Oh my god, you didn't need to add that. Saute one fine okay, let's edit my prompt. Given only 100 words. It should be less than I was muted. Loading. Let's use maybe this one, and you can also use animation to animate. So, or maybe this one or this one. Okay, I'm just gonna use that one. Let's paste it, hourglass bottom icon. So it should be in the middle of the container. And let's name it div, and then let's style add position it's gonna be absolute, and then from the top maybe 48% would work. Who knows? From the left maybe 40% as well. Okay, I'm just gonna run with it. Okay, what is happening? What? Okay. You need an extra braces. Okay, so this should work. So inside the div, I'm just gonna put in my loading hourglass bottom icon. Let's see. Okay, so there we go. And you can style it if you want. You could just style it before. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do just that. Just copy this one. Let's place it here. So it's gonna be loading icon. It's gonna be styled. And the style is hourglass bottom icon. So width, I don't need to change that. Transform, no. Maybe, yeah, width. No. I don't need. And the font size maybe, but I'm not sure if it's to 50. And then instead of this hourglass bottom icon, we use the loading icon. Okay, I was muted there for a second. I'm gonna put in a spin. Right now, so now you need to duration, easing function, delay, then the iteration count. I think it will work. Let's go to global CSS. Let's create a keyframe. That's gonna be spin, and then if you are spinning, then you need to transform it and then rotate. What's wrong? What? Expected. Oh, 0%. Yeah. Does it work? Who knows? Okay, it works. Okay, so it's only running once, so what we need to do is also mention infinite. Okay, so that's basically what we want. Not 50, and let's give it a whopping 80, and then let's this getting more to the left, so 48, not 48, 45. Okay, so it works. So it should only be displayed if the request is being if there is a request going on. So we need to maintain one more state, which is I'm gonna name it resolved, or basically fetching. Yeah, it makes more sense. Is state, and it's gonna be false in the beginning, initialized with false. So if it is fetching, if it is fetching, we need to show this this thing right here. So if it is fetching equals true, and then you need to show this dev. Okay, so this should work. If the fetching is true, then okay. Now again in input we need to pass this as props, set recipe, and then set fetching. Then in input, when you click on submit, it's gonna props dot set fetching to true. I'm just gonna set it to true, and then let's uh, so I think for now I'm gonna leave it at this because it's getting too long. Okay, so far what we've done is we've utilized the OpenAI API to build a recipe recommendation system. You can put in any any ingredients uh like let's say you will have onion, put in tomato, put in garlic, and put in spaghetti. uh let's put in maize. Okay, and let's search. No, sorry. And search, and there we go, it's gonna search, and right now it's sending the request to the API that we just built. It's gonna take some time because there are a lot of words involved, but we should see the result. Okay, so there we go. So this is a recipe recommendation. To make a simple and a flavorful spaghetti dish with an African twist, start by sauteing finely chopped onions and minced garlic in olive oil until they become translucent. Next, add diced tomatoes and season. Okay, let's simmer for. Okay, so this is a fully flazed uh, recipe recommendation system. So it's not perfect yet. It's very very far away from being perfect. You need to style it. uh, you will want to make different pages for it. Right now it's a single page application, but Next.js is what you use for building, is what you use for using multiple pages applications. So right now it's a good start, but in the future stream I might try to improve on this project, but I don't intend to do it anytime soon because I have a lot of other projects in mind. Like the one that I'm particularly interested on is fine-tuning the OpenAI model so that I can create a chatbot which can give answers specific to my about my college. Like so, in that project, which I'm gonna be doing on stream pretty soon. So I'm gonna be scraping data from this website, so which is the website of my college. So I'm gonna use web scraping to scrape the data out of this uh, website, and then I'm gonna make my own data set uh, to fine tune the chat completion model of OpenAI, and then it'll be able to answer specific things related to my college like a chatbot. So that is one that I'm particularly looking forward to. I've been thinking about doing it for a while, and I think I have the time uh, right now in my hands. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing. But yeah, that's it for this stream today. uh, Let me look in my chat, and just as expected, no one has turned up. uh, and there we go. This was using OpenAI to build a recipe recommendation system. So yeah, okay, see you in the later streams.